welcome to another edition of the Sports War. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages. That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash. Yeah. Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked and excited for this.
What's up, guys? We are back with Geno time, special sports port on Saturdays, what we've been doing. I'm Geno, back after a couple weeks, a couple weeks off with the holiday season. And joining us, as always, our great super producer, Mike Theophil. Mike, how you doing today?
Yo, what's going on, dude? How was your holiday?
Man.
I didn't even get to. We talked a lot off air actually just now.
We did talk a lot off air, but it was good, man. I mean, just kind of grinding, getting through certain work things. Had some time off. Little COVID situation. Dealing with people come in contact with and whatnot. But
it's tough.
Ultimately, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Got to see family. Got to see family I haven't seen in a while. So that was great. And it's we're back on the grind now. It's new year and another great year for downtime.
Yeah, dude. I that's awesome. I'm glad everything worked itself out.
Yeah. How was your holiday?
Good, dude. Just fam stuff and Christmas. Oh, I mean, New Year's. I mean, what do we do actually? Oh, we went to my family's for a little bit.
Nice.
Matt, and then Matt, Renee, and I just spent the New Year's Eve at Renee's. Very
cool.
Quiet and chill. And dude, just looking forward. I'm so excited for this. This first week has been great.
Yeah,
there's a lot. We just talked about all the stuff that's happened this week for us. Off air, and I'm just so excited for the new year. They were tough. They did, like last year was a tough year with the COVID and everything, but and my condolences and love go to everybody who's affected negatively with it. But again with us, dude, I just feel like it was such a growing year, and I'm just so excited for what's to come for us. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, look at this, dude. We got a fucking Geno time Saturday show. Like what?
We got a Saturday show. When we started Sportsport, I think we were doing one day a week.
Yes.
So
we're doing a week, dude.
We got 6 days of sports content. We've got betting content across all those as well. We've got, movie shows. We've got gaming shows. We've got all this content. It is crazy. Me and Mike were talking about it before the show. I mean, we have just in the past year, it's crazy to think about all the things that have come out of downtime and all the things we produced, the ups, the downs, the good times, the bad times. It's been great, but it's led us to this point right here. And hey, I couldn't be more thankful to be doing what we're doing right now and just grinding every day for you guys and just, being able to be on here on Saturdays at least.
I know it's sick. It is sick.
It's awesome.
What are we talking about first?
Well, we have to talk about the fact that mobile sports betting is now officially legal, launched, ready to go as of 9 a.m. this morning in New York. That's huge.
Go on the app. It's all good to go.
Everything's good, I think. I mean, so this was the deal. I mean, they said they announced that everyone was allowed to officially launch at 9 a.m. today. Yep. If they were ready, if they were not ready, of course that then they, wouldn't. But obviously every single one of these places was ready because how are you not prepared for this? If this is such a big cash grab for the state and for people, for these companies, and there's only 4 right now. There's only 4 companies right now that are allowed to operate in New York. There's 5, I think, other ones that are still going through the process of getting approved to launch. But right now it's DraftKings, it's FanDuel, it's Caesars Sportsbook, and it's Rush Street Interactive. If you go on right now, there's a whole bunch of promos going on. If you're a new user, I think DraftKings has like a $200 new user, free bet or something like that. FanDuel, similarly, Caesars, I think is a $300 free bet. And, I know FanDuel right now has a promo going on that you can, the odds are plus 100 that a total of 3+ points will be scored in this afternoon's Denver versus Kansas City game, which is a lock. You can bet max $50, and that's what I did. Yeah, I mean, I love FanDuel personally because of all those promos. They do promos every year. I think, they do a different one, and a bunch of times they've done, promos where, the more it gets bet, the higher the number, the spread goes. So, it's, so-and-so plus 72 by the time you bet it. And obviously no one's going to win by 72 points. So it's free money there. And you get, the opportunity to kind of, get a little cash there. But it's great that's happening in New York. I used to live in New Jersey. I live in New York now. And when I lived in New Jersey, it was very easy. But once I moved to New York, I haven't been betting as much. And I didn't bet too much to begin with. I wasn't, an everyday better. But since I moved to New York, it really has kind of petered out to nothing due to the fact that it's hard, when you don't have the opportunity to bet. I work during the week and do stuff during the week. I'm busy during the week, so I don't have the opportunity to check the spreads during the week. So most of the time I'm betting on the weekends. But when you don't know what the spread's going to be and you can't bet on the day of the game and see how the spread moves and see injuries and people are active and inactive, it's hard to do that. And it's hard to come up with an accurate bet and make any sort of money. So, it has been good that, now it's launched and I'm able to get on it again and just trying to get familiar with it again and kind of get to the point where I am, putting some money here and there to make some games more interesting, like this afternoon between Denver and Kansas City and Cowboys and the Eagles. And we'll get into all of that. But, it is definitely making my life easier from a betting perspective. It's making a lot of people's lives easier. And I think, a lot of people have been asking people in New Jersey to place their bets for them. People have been driving across the border to place bets. I wasn't one of those people, but it's much easier now that I think Connecticut has it too. I know New Jersey, New York.
Connecticut have it? I was going to ask.
I know. I think they do, and I have to check. But at least New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania all have mobile sports betting. So, and listen, New York had sports betting before this, but you'd have to go to a casino, and there's like 4 casinos in all of New York, basically. So it looks like there is it is legal via mobile apps and in person in Connecticut as well. So I mean, basically the entire tri-state area, Pennsylvania is all good to go. So if you're in any of those states, it's going to be great. I don't know what it is around the country. I know my buddy just moved to Georgia. He is not allowed to sports. He moved from New York to Georgia. He's actually going there today.
Oh, wow, that's funny.
And he is moving to Georgia where there is no sports betting. And today they legalized sports betting, launched sports betting in New York. So, it's a good day for those who like to bet. For those who don't like to bet, I guess it doesn't really matter to you guys. But for me and for others who like to even just casually bet, it is a good opportunity for us to kind of get back on it and, try and increase that portfolio. Right now, I think since I started FanDuel when I was, a few years ago, and again, I don't bet a lot. I don't bet a lot of money. Maybe like $5, $10 every bet I bet. But way back when I started, I think since then I'm up $300 lifetime in my FanDuel account. So
wow,
I am I'm doing pretty well.
I think that's impressive, dude.
Yeah, it does help with these little promos where you're allowed to bet $50 and get $50 back. But I think I've been pretty even keel other than that. So I'm pretty 50-50 on it in terms of getting bets right and getting them out right. The big thing I think is just doing your research and making sure you're not betting on something that, is, there's an injury or there's rain or, a lot of these, sometimes you got to think about it a little bit, do a little bit of research. Doesn't take that long for most things. I mean, with the NFL and all these professional sports leagues, the information's right out there. You just have to type in Tennessee Titans injuries or, weather in Nashville and it'll all come up and it'll make a bet easier for you. I do know that the Barstool Sportsbook, which is not legal in New York, not officially legal in New York, but is legal in other places like New Jersey, Pennsylvania. Not sure about Connecticut. I don't think it is in Connecticut though. I know that that sports book actually gives you some information on the sports book. So I really like that, and the fact that it kind of gives you spreads, some, against the spread statistics, how teams play at home, and it kind of gives you all the information you need to know right there for the most part, other than injuries, about how a team's performing, especially in a betting stance. So, I think the sports world is starting to come around a bit on, the sports betting, and I think it's starting to become a huge part, and that's why we are continuing to include it here. So, with that said, we have to get into a couple things, and we're going to talk mainly football today. I know mostly it's college basketball. It's some of these lesser known sports or lesser followed sports like soccer and whatnot, Formula One, but the NFL and college football rule this weekend, and that's understandable with the last weekend in the NFL, all the playoff clinching scenarios, the AB story, everything that's been going on. It's been crazy. So we're going to get into it right now. We're going to talk a little NFL right now. We're going to talk the AB story. We're going to talk about Antonio Brown, because it just feels like the story has taken twists and turns. And I'm sure you guys have talked about it on the Sports Report this week. But it's taken so many turns that it feels like every day there's a new turn, and we just need to keep talking about and updating you guys. So this is in no way chronological order, but these are all the things that I can remember off the top of my head that have happened this week with Antonio Brown, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that situation that happened on Sunday. So obviously it did start off on Sunday. If you haven't seen it and you live under a rock, Antonio Brown threw tantrum on the field, took off his jersey, took off his pads, took off his shirt, and ran off the field in the middle of the game against the Jets. Ran off the field, gathered his stuff, took an Uber. We've seen the infamous video from the Uber. And after the game, Bruce Arians commented that AB is no longer part of the team. He is no longer part of the team, insinuating that he would be cut come Monday when the cuts were announced. Come Monday, he was not cut. And then we find out that AB released some messages from Arians between the two saying, listen, everything's cool. Just come back. We're sorry for everything that happened. Him saying, I'll come back as long as I'm feeling okay. And it seemed like everything was okay. When those texts came out, it seemed like everything was okay. At some point during this sequence, AB's lawyer also released a statement at some point saying, the reason he didn't want to go back in was because of an ankle injury that had occurred during the game. And they were trying to force him to play on it, and he was not having that, and he wanted to protect his body, which seems like a completely reasonable thing to understand. But, again, the fact that the team would want him to play on an ankle injury seems weird. All these things start flying around. AB doesn't show up to practice, ends up getting cut. And then things kind of go in a million different directions. He starts going after Tom Brady's TB12 guy, Alex Guerrero, for really no reason at all. I mean, he posted these tweets or these texts that were between the two. AB was like, listen, I'm not going to be around or not going to be doing this anymore. Can I get half my money back? And Alex Guerrero was like, sure, we'll start working on getting you that money back. And AB tweeted it, realizing now they just need to legalize online poker. A comment there from Crime Pays. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how that pays out. Online poker, I'm not too much into, so I haven't really followed that, but we'll see how that plays out. I'm sure it will follow shortly, maybe after the legal sports betting, but we'll see. But getting back to the AB story, a weird situation with Tom Brady's guy. Then Bruce Arians come out and says that it was not the case that he was injured. He was medically cleared to play, and he refused to go back in the game, which, again, Tampa cuts AB. AB now talking about targets and how he wasn't getting the targets he deserved, which was a big thing that people talked about because he was owed a certain amount of money. He was owed, I think, $333,000 for a certain amount of targets, certain amount of receiving yards, and certain amount of touchdowns. And he was very close to all those things that were certainly reachable. So he starts talking about, how they don't want to get him the ball, how, he's going after Tom Brady, who Tom Brady is literally his only friend in the entire league, really. The only reason that Antonio Brown is playing football is because of Tom Brady. because Tom Brady has vouched for him. And I think that's a big reason that AB wasn't cut in the beginning, because Tom Brady came out right after the game, was like, listen, you need to understand what he's going through. He was very sympathetic towards AB. So for him to go after Tom Brady now seems weird. He's saying that he's not getting paid enough, wants to know why he isn't getting paid the likes of Gronk and the likes of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. He doesn't understand what he has under those people. I mean, listen, love AB. I mean, he is a talented wide receiver on his best day, an extremely talented wide receiver on his best day. But Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are really good wide receivers too, and arguably two of the best wide receivers in the league at this current moment. I wouldn't say that AB is currently one of the best wide receivers in the league. I think that Mike Evans and Chris Godwin certainly earn their share of their money by what they do week in and week out. And the Gronk situation, listen, Gronk is one of the best tight ends in football history. I mean, and he's proven it again this season and last season. There's a reason he's getting paid a lot of money, because he is still producing at an age where he's had tons of injuries, and is just getting older year and year and getting hit and is dealing with all that. So listen, I mean, I think AB, the situation of him not getting paid is purely on the fact that his past and what's happened in the past, and the fact that people can't just take chances on him with the crazy things that have happened over the past few years, which I don't think is unreasonable. This is, as much as it is a sport, it's also a business. And these guys, you can't be paying AB, 3 years, 30 million or whatever, a top wide receiver would be getting paid, when you're not sure if he's going to be able to make it there, with, some of the things that have just gone on. And that's not, going after AB, that's just facts. What's next in this situation? Who knows? I mean, AB just seems, it's, for me personally, it's hard to trust anything that's coming out of AB's mouth just because of his past and everything and how the story's changed. Because we were talking about the ankle injury at the beginning of the week, and now we're not talking about the ankle injury. We're talking about, Alex Guerrero and Tom Brady and how he's not getting targets. So which one was it? Did you leave because of the ankle injury, or did you leave because of the targets and the situation there? I mean, it's hard to trust what's coming out of his mouth. My personal situation is I think that the Bucs did everything, at least Tom Brady on the Bucs. I don't know about the rest of the Bucs, but I think Tom Brady did everything he can to keep him on the team and to keep him in the situation. And I think he convinced Bruce Arians to kind of try and patch things up with AB. But that's not the case anymore. And, that's, things have changed. And, it looks like AB's now going after Brady, and it's hard to kind of be on his side with how things have changed. And I listen, we don't know all the facts. We'll never know all the facts. We just have two sides of the story. As everybody always says, there's three sides to every story. There's one person's side, there's the other person's side, and there's the truth. And we don't know the truth. We'll never probably know the truth due to the, due to what's been going, what goes on sidelines. There's not really, I guess there's mics that could pick it up, but my guess is that if there was mics, we probably won't hear about that until, if AB, I guess, I don't really know how we would hear about that. I would imagine the NFL would probably, if it was an issue with the Buccaneers, maybe they'd try and cover it up. I don't know, but I can't imagine we're going to hear sideline audio if there was any. So I'm not sure we'll ever know the truth, but it's just hard for me to trust AB right now with all the things that have happened in the past and the flip-flopping of what it is, whether it's the ankle injury, whether it's, him not getting targets, he's complaining about all these different things. Like, I guess it could be a bunch of everything, but he was not far off his bonuses it's not like he was tremendously far off his bonuses. And, it sounded like Bruce Arians wanted to get him back in the game so he can get to that point and get his targets and get his receptions. And, so I don't really know what's next for the AB situation. I think he's going to keep going out there and talking. And I think the Buccaneers are going to just try and go about their lives. And maybe we'll hear something from, one of the players. But I just don't see it being a factor in the Buccaneers' lives. moving forward. I think AB is going to keep going on. And I think, unfortunately, in his case, it won't help his case. I think it'll end up in him just, honestly, I think this might be the end of AB. I think the only reason he was in the league to begin with, the only reason any team took a chance on him in the first place was because of Tom Brady. And I think now he's alienating that only friend. So we'll see how that plays out. But that's enough for the AB situation. We're going to move on to some NFL talk. And there is a lot of NFL talk other than the AB situation. Sorry, we're not going to move on. We're going to continue to talk about the NFL. But we're going to talk about the big games this week. There's so much going on. I mean, there's so many playoff clinching scenarios, so many seeding scenarios. Now, the NFC, will start there. The NFC's one seed is already locked up. The rest of the seeding is determined, by some of the games. But basically, there's one NFC spot up for grabs. Other than that, there's just seeding up for grabs. Now, I bring this Rams game up because they are playing the 49ers, who are in a situation where if they win, they're in. The Rams are taking on the 49ers tomorrow, 4:25 p.m. A Rams win or a tie or an Arizona loss or tie clinches the NFC West for them and the 2 seed. So basically, the Rams not only have the 2 seed on the docket for today or for tomorrow, they also have to win to keep the NFC West and not fall to a wild card spot. I mean, right now they're looking at a 2 seed and having a home game to start off, and then another home game after that if they win, and then if the 1 seed loses, having a home game after that. So the Rams have a lot on the line here, because if they get dropped down to the 5 seed, now they're looking at most likely not one home game over the course of the playoffs. So a lot on the line for the Rams, but of course the most is on the line for the 49ers, because the Rams are already in the playoffs. They've already clinched the berth. The 49ers, on the other hand, have not. They need to win to clinch a playoff berth for them. It's the only way that they can get into the play. It's the only way they can get in the playoffs is with a win. They have no other situations, to my knowledge, where a loss gets them in. Well, actually, that's not true. If the Saints lose and they lose, they would be in. But other than that, there's no other way that the 49ers can. It's not like, if, some random team out in, the NFC East, say the Giants lose one more game or whatever it is by statistics and the 5th tiebreaker. There's none of that. The 49ers need to win to get in, or need a New Orleans loss to get in. My personal opinion is I can't see it happening. The 49ers have been playing really well recently. Other than the Titans game, really, I think that they've been on a bit of a roll. And they've looked pretty good. Trey Lance getting his first win at home last week. I'm not sure. I haven't looked up if Garoppolo will go, but for me personally, the Garoppolo situation doesn't really matter. I think Garoppolo and Trey Lance offer about the same type of thing. Garoppolo more of a pocket passer. Trey Lance more of a guy who goes out and is a little bit more mobile. But other than that, I think they offer. I don't think one is significantly more talented. Experience may play a part. If Jimmy is available, that obviously would help due to his experience in these types of situations. But I think I see, I think I see this being a difficult game no matter who starts under center. I mean, this isn't a game that the Rams want to lose. This is not a game where they're going to rest starters. They have to win this game to win the NFC West. So, and they want that. So, I think it's a big game for them, and I just can't see the 49ers winning this game. I think it's a really difficult game, a really unfortunate game for 49ers fans to have at the end of the season, especially with the way they started. They kind of got on a roll very similar to the Dolphins, but they were able to uphold this roll and went on a little bit of a run and now find themselves in a playoff spot, but they need the Saints to lose to the Falcons if they lose to the Rams, which is another tough task to ask. But it looks like Garoppolo is officially listed as questionable for Sunday's game against the Rams. So we'll keep an eye on that situation. I would keep an eye on that situation. The spread for this game, as I mentioned, we are going to talk about more betting things. And I'm trying to every game that I bring up for the most part, I'm going to try and give you the spreads, give you the over-unders so that you know what, and I can give you my kind of opinion on that. We'll incorporate the betting into this because it is such a big part of our world right now. Such a big part of the sports world. And, we need to talk about it. So the spread for this game is Rams minus 4.5. They are at home. Remember that. And the over-under is 44.5. The over-under is an interesting one. I think it's going to be hard to get the over-under here. I wouldn't bet on. There we go. Miles Tech. I see your comments. Finally going to make some bets tonight. Absolutely. And follow along. We're going to keep talking about these bets and things to play. If you are a FanDuel guy, I don't know if you were here for the beginning of this segment. FanDuel is doing a cool little promo where they're giving you, it's like plus 100 for total points, three plus total points in the Chiefs Broncos game. It's basically free money. Bet that if you are a FanDuel guy. And if you sign up for any of these things, you'll get some free bets as well. But it's 4.5. The over-under is 44.5. I wouldn't touch the over-under. I think that this is going to be, the Rams score about, I think 6.1. I think they have 6.1 yards per play. I think that they score a lot. Their defense is really good, but the 49ers defense is really good. So I see the Rams scoring enough points to put you in the region of 44.5. I'm not sure if the 49ers will, but I wouldn't touch the 44.5. I would think about, if I'm betting, and I'm probably not going to bet this 49ers-Rams game, but I'd probably lean 4.5 to the Rams. I just don't see the 49ers having a shot in this game. I know the Rams have kind of been up and down. They've had kind of a weird second half of the season, but this Rams team is good, and they need to win this game, and I think they're going to be motivated to win this game, and I would lean for minus 4.5 for the Rams at home in this game tomorrow afternoon. Now, let's move on to another game. We did mention the Saints and Falcons. This is another important game for NFC, the only other really important game for NFC seeding and for NFC playoff berths. The Saints are going to Atlanta to take on the Falcons, 4:25 p.m. Eastern time. The Saints are favored by 3.5. The over-under is 39.5. Now, the Falcons have nothing to play for in this game. That's what you got to remember in this one. They have nothing to play for. I don't know what the Saints, I'm checking now, I'm looking at the Saints quarterback situation. But obviously, if they're still, if they're running with Blake Bortles or still in their fourth string quarterback, that's why the total is so low at 39.5. Because I think that this Falcons team can score points. We saw, we've seen this Falcons team score points and win games. I don't think that's an impossible task. It's a matter of if the Saints team can score points and win games. And that's, what I would be worried about in this game and why I think the number is so low. I think it is a really low number to begin with. They're playing in Atlanta. And as I mentioned, you got to keep track of that weather in Atlanta. So right now it's 40 degrees in Atlanta. I think they're expecting some rain tomorrow. So the high tomorrow is 62 with some rain, but I forgot. I'm an idiot. They play in a Superdome, so it doesn't matter. So they play in a dome, so that doesn't matter. The weather doesn't matter in Atlanta, but it is the quarterback situation. You got to keep an eye on that quarterback situation if you're going to bet this game, because the Saints are without Jameis Winston. Taysom Hill and Trevor Siemian should be off of the COVID protocol by now, I would assume. I can't imagine they wouldn't be. If Taysom Hill is starting, I would probably lean the over in this game, over 39.5. I think the Saints can get to 20 points, and I think the Falcons can get to 20 points. I think this is, I think that we could see, 40 plus points in this game. So I would lean there rather than Saints minus 3.5, because I know the Falcons don't have much to play for. I know the Saints are the only team that have anything to play for, but this Falcons team isn't bad. And this Falcons team, I'm sure, will want to finish on a strong note. First year under Coach Arthur Smith. I think that the Falcons team will want to, will want to finish high. So, and I think I'm trying to check their record right now because I don't know it off the top of my head, but I think this Falcons team is, I think they're good. I think they have a lot of talent, and I think that they could upset the Saints here and kind of ruin things for them. So I would lean more the over in that game rather than the point spread. Moving on now, the big stuff happening really tomorrow is in the AFC. We do have Cowboys Eagles tonight. Cowboys Eagles is really for playoff seeding. Eagles have already clinched a berth, and the Cowboys have already clinched a berth. But it is a rivalry game, so if you are, it still will be pretty competitive. And I think both teams are going to want to win the game purely on the basis of playoff seeding. The Eagles can't get the division. The Cowboys have already clinched the division, but the Cowboys can move up to I think the 2 seed if they win, and a couple things fall in their place with the Rams losing and the Cardinals losing. I think so. Although they beat the Cardinals, so I think the Cowboys have some things at stake, so that's something to watch out for tonight. But like I said, we're moving on to the AFC games, and we're going to talk first about the 1 seed, and we are going to talk about the Tennessee Titans because I never talk about the Tennessee Titans, and I want to talk about the Tennessee Titans. As you can see, I'm a Tennessee Titans fan, so we need to start off with the Titans at Texans 1 p.m. Now, listen, we don't only start off there because they're the Titans, but we start off there because the Titans have a shot at the 1 seed. They are the current team with a shot at the 1 seed this week. They have the only path where win gets you the 1 seed, or where just winning gets you the 1 seed. So the Titans are going to Houston, 1 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. As I said, Titans are -10 in this game. The over-under is 42. When they played the last time, they played in a little bit of a rainy situation, and if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head, the score was 19-13 Houston. That was the game 22-13 Houston. That was the game in Nashville. So that game only produced 35 points, but it was raining. It was hard for the Titans to do anything. They hadn't really established the run game at that point. They hadn't really come up with a good running back, and of course, Derrick Henry was already injured at that point. So that is the big news of this week, right? Though, so we have to keep an eye on what's happening with the Titans in that situation. Will Derrick Henry play this week? He is activated. He is designated for return from the IR this week. That gives him a 20-day window to actually play and be activated. So he could play this week. It's very possible. There's been reports out of Tennessee that have said that he's looked very good in practice. There's been reports saying that Derrick Henry was told that they wanted to take it easy with him, maybe not play him. And Derrick was like, no way, I'm playing. Like, if I'm healthy, I'm playing. Like, I feel fine. So definitely something to watch out for there because, I mean, as a Titans fan, I'm not sure which way I lean with the Derrick Henry situation. We're going to have Julio Jones and A.J. Brown. So I think we should be able to win this game in conditions. It's a dome in Houston as well. So the weather is not going to be an issue there. I think in those conditions, we should be able to win this game just with Julio and AJ. And I would like to rest Henry for if we win the game, 2 more weeks on top of that. But it's difficult because I think you need to get Derrick Henry some reps. So that's the big thing there. Titans -10 is a big number. It's a really big number. And I know the Titans dominated the Dolphins last week. And I know the Texans aren't very good. They don't have much to play for. But you never know in these games. 10 is such a big number to bet. Even in these games where, the Titans lost by 10 points to the Texans earlier this season. They've kept it close in games that they shouldn't have kept it close, this year. So, namely, the Steelers game was significantly closer than it should have been. The 49ers game, they probably should have been better in. So, these games it's hard for me to take a number like 10. The over-under at 42, that's something I would consider. But again, we're looking at a Texans team that doesn't have much to offer. The Titans would probably, if the Titans are fully healthy and play like they did think about how they played last week. They scored 34 points and the over wouldn't have hit if it was 42. It was, the total was 37 points total scored between them and the Dolphins, and the Texans are worse than the Dolphins. So, you get into the point where, you're hoping that a team scores a lot of points. And, I think it just tends a big number for me. I don't really like taking those double-digit numbers, even in professional games like this. But the over-under is a little bit more, I probably think, where you're going to look in this game. But it is tough with the way the Texans offense is and the way the Titans defense has been playing. And I think I would stay away from this game completely. Now, there are other situations if the Titans lose. A tie and a KC loss, or a KC loss or a tie clinches the 1 seed for the Titans, and a loss and all of KC, Cincy, and New England either to lose or tie clinches the 1 seed for them. And then that's virtually impossible because there's no way that. Well, I guess the New England one is more possible because they're playing the Dolphins. The Dolphins have typically given the Patriots some trouble, but I think the KC, Cincy, and New England all losing is probably not going to happen. And then a loss and a Chiefs and Bengals loss and a Bills win also clinches the 1 seed for the Titans. So just something to keep track of there. There's a bunch of ways the Titans can clinch the 1 seed. But for me personally, it would save me a lot of stress if they just blew out the Texans and clinched the 1 seed and got that extra week off, which would be great. Now, if none of that stuff happens and the Titans don't clinch the 1 seed, KC clinches the 1 seed with a win and a Titans loss. The other situations are pretty complicated with the Bengals, but it is the crazy part about the AFC is that there's 5 teams that have clinched, and all 5 of those teams have a shot at clinching the 1 seed this week. The Bengals, the Bills, and the Pats all have an opportunity to clinch the 1 seed if things fall their way. Again, as I said, the situations are a little bit complicated, so I'm not going to get into them. The Bengals are sitting players this week. They said they're going to sit their stars, so for them to beat the Browns would take a bit of an effort. So I can't imagine the Bengals being able to clinch. New England would have to win against Miami and then have a bunch of things fall their way to clinch the 1 seed because currently they are the 5 seed. One of those things would be the Bills losing. If the Bills win, as I mentioned, there's still some things that have to fall their way. The Chiefs still have to win. The Bengals would have to win, I think. So really complicated for some of these other teams to get the 1 seed, but it is crazy that we are in week 18 of the NFL season and all those teams can clinch. So can clinch the 1 seed. So that creates a little bit of drama tomorrow, I'm sure. I'm sure that'll be a lot of fun. Obviously, the Chiefs game tonight, so that'll be fun to watch for me to see if they lose, maybe take a tiny bit of pressure. Because if we get in the situation where all that has to happen is if KC loses tonight for some reason, which I can't imagine they do, they're playing the Broncos, who are not very good, and Drew Lock is their quarterback. He hasn't looked great, so I would imagine KC takes care of business. But if for some reason they lose tonight or this afternoon, I don't see it impossible that the Bills win against the Jets, and since he loses against the Browns when they're sitting their players. So, if it could take some pressure off the Titans, but either way, I would like a Titans win. As I mentioned, there are 2 spots up for grabs in the AFC. We'll talk about those right now. So first, the first one you need to know, listen, the Colts play the Jaguars, and I'm going to imagine that the Colts win that game. I would imagine the Colts win that game against the Jaguars. I can't see them losing that game. So I think that effectively clinches the playoffs for the Colts. The game that is the Sunday night game, what is being called the winner takes all game, is Chargers at Raiders, 8:20 Eastern time. The spread is Chargers -3. The overs under is 48.5. Both look pretty good. 48.5 is a good number. I could see this being a high-scoring game. The Chargers hate playing defense at the end of games. That's a good number. And I really do like Chargers -3 because I think that they're the better team. The defense at the end of games is the issue there because they love to make things close at the end. But I think the Chargers should win this game by a touchdown. I would look at both of them. I would look at both the over-under and the Chargers -3 is something that you would want to bet. As I mentioned, it's a winner takes all unless it's a tie and the Colts lose. If it's a tie and the Colts lose, which the Colts play at 1 p.m. on Sunday. So if it's a tie and the Colts lose, both teams, both the Raiders and the Chargers would make the playoffs, which creates an interesting Washington versus the Giants, Eagles. What was it? Washington versus the Eagles last year situation where, well, why wouldn't you just aim for a tie in that situation if you're the Chargers and the Raiders? You both get into the playoffs and the Colts don't make the playoffs. Personally, as a Titans fan, being that I hate the Colts, would love that to happen, but I don't see that happening. Listen, I mean, the Eagles-Washington thing last year was, it was very blatantly obvious what they were trying to do. But at the same time, it kind of wasn't. Like, for you to obviously tie a game, like, that's very obvious. Like, I feel like a tie is significantly more obvious than a win or loss going the other way. So I'd imagine this, and listen, like I said, the Colts are winning. So this is going to become a winner-takes-all game. I think the game is in Las Vegas, which is a big thing for the Raiders and why I think the number is a little bit lower than it would be if it was at home for Los Angeles. Although, listen, Raiders fans travel and the Chargers fans Chargers fans aren't exactly known for showing up in LA. So maybe it would be the same, but, going into the black hole, going into Vegas, it's going to be a tough game for the Chargers, but I trust Justin Herbert. I trust this team. I think that they're really, really talented on offense. And I think they're going to get it done on defense because I think that the Raiders, I just don't trust them to keep pace with what the Chargers are going to bring on offense. So, obviously it all relies on Justin Herbert's shoulders for the Chargers and Austin Eckler, of course. But I'm taking the Chargers in this one for sure. And I think they make the playoffs with the Colts. And I think that's how that rounds out. But there is one more game that could have potential playoff implications. The Ravens versus the Steelers at 1 p.m. on tomorrow. Ravens minus 3.5. Over-under is 41.5. The Ravens are starting Tyler Huntley again as Lamar Jackson remains injured in this game. The Steelers, it'll be Big Ben's last game. TJ Watt going for the sack total. The Ravens can only clinch with a win and losses by the Chargers and Colts and a loss or tie by the Dolphins. So, if the Raiders do win, it may not necessarily be true that they make the playoffs according to the research I've done, according to playoff scenarios that I've seen online. According to this, the Ravens can only clinch, again, they can only clinch with a win. They need to win this game. And then they need losses by the Chargers and the Colts and a loss or tie by the Dolphins. It's a lot to ask for. So I can't imagine that's all going to happen. Plus, they need to win. The Chargers, again, as I said, would be the favorite in that game, and I think would be my favorite in that game. The Colts are easily, I think they're minus 15.5 against the Jaguars. So easily the favorite in that game. And, the Dolphins losing to New England is probably very possible, but it's not an easy thing either. The Dolphins, as I mentioned, do play well against New England. So, especially at home. So that's going to be difficult, but there is still playoff implications there. And as well, the Steelers can, even though they are the 10 seed, I think right now, they could still clinch with a win. But they also need a Colts loss and the Chargers Raiders game to just not end in a tie. So if the Steelers win, they have a much easier chance of making the playoffs due to that tie that they already have. They're 8-7-1 or 9-7-1. I forget what they're, let me see. Give me a second. The Steelers are 8-7-1. Yes, because we're playing 17 games this season. So if they win, they'll fall at 9-7-1. And if the Chargers or Raiders lose, one of those teams would be 9-8. And if the Colts lose, they would also be 9-8. So that tie would really help the Steelers. So if they get a win, it's a little bit easier for them to clinch. But again, as I mentioned, I cannot see the Colts losing. So I would imagine that this Raiders-Chargers game is a winner-take-all scenario. So, but those are the things to watch out for. A couple of the spreads, let me just pull them up here, that are around the league this week. Tonight, just to keep an eye on it, KC is minus 10.5 over the Broncos. The over-under is 45. Again, I'm not huge on taking those big numbers. You never know what can happen. KC is in Denver. It's an outdoor stadium. Weather could affect things. You never know what's going to happen in these situations. Mile high. So 10.5 is a big number for me. 45, probably if you're looking to bet, if you have to bet this game, if I had to give you an option, it would probably be leaning more the over-under. But again, I would stay away from this game completely. Dallas is minus 3.5 against the Eagles tonight. Dallas is at Philly tonight. The over-under is 44.5. This one is a tough one too. Philly's been playing really well lately. Dallas has had their ups and downs. The offense has not looked as good recently in recent games as previous weeks. So I think 3.5 for Dallas. I might lean Philly plus 3.5. I know Dallas has got stuff to play for, but I kind of like the way Philly's been playing. Green Bay minus 3 against the Lions. Green Bay probably, I think they're sitting players, and that's why the number's so low because, Green Bay even at Detroit is favored in that situation, but they have already clinched the 1 seed. They have nothing to play for. They're going to get a couple weeks off. So I wouldn't touch that game due to the fact that we've got players out. We don't know how things are going to play. Minnesota is currently at home versus Chicago. They're currently minus 5.5. The over-under in that game is 44.5. I would take Minnesota in that game. Chicago's looked all right, but not great. Minnesota, I know they don't have anything to play for, but they are, still a talented team, and I think they probably take that one. These are the hardest games to bet on, I think, this week 18 because of, the lack of things to play for. Like both these teams don't really have anything to play for. And the desire might not be there. So that's also, that's a hard thing to gauge. So again, as I mentioned, the Colts are at Jacksonville. They're minus 15.5. The over-under is 44. Not taking the big number. Over-under is probably where I would be leaning if I have to bet this game. But I'm staying away from this game. Washington at New York. Washington's minus 7. The over-under is 38. The Giants, I don't think have scored 20 points in forever. Like I can't remember the last time the Giants did anything successful on offense. Last week, I think they had minus 10 passing yards. So they scored 10 points last week, 3 points last week, 10 points the week before that, and 6 the week before that against the Cowboys, Eagles, and Bears of all teams, which the Bears are not very good. So I can't imagine them scoring a bunch of points against this Washington team, who is very talented as well. So on defense specifically. So I'm leaning. I would honestly probably lean Washington minus 7. The Giants just don't look like they even want to be out there. So I lean Giants minus 7 in that one. Other games we haven't talked about: Cleveland minus 6 against Cincinnati. Cleveland at home again. Cincinnati resting their starters. It's hard to gauge this over-under because resting starters, players not playing, Baker's not playing. I mean, the over-under is 37.5 right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if it went under. I would imagine this is a really low-scoring game. 6 points is a crazy spread for even a backup quarterback. You're getting 2 backup quarterbacks. You're getting a backup running back. I mean, I can't imagine 6. I'd even lean plus 6 to Cincinnati because of just, maybe they're probably sitting maybe some players on defense too, but the Browns are not playing everybody. Baker's not playing. So, we'll see how that game plays out. New England's minus 6.5 against Miami. As I mentioned, New England doesn't play well in Miami often, but I think this one's different. I would take New England minus 6.5. I think they're going to win this game by 10 points. So I got New England in this one. The Jets are currently minus 16.5 to the Bills. I honestly, and I know I said I don't take big numbers. I know it's going to be cold. It's going to be winter up there. I don't know if it's going to snow, but it's Buffalo. So I still would lean Jets plus 16.5. You never can know you never know what can happen in those situations. In that type of, area up in Buffalo with the cold. Buffalo doesn't run the ball terribly well. So if it does snow, throwing the ball is going to be a little bit hard. I would honestly, I really do honestly think plus 16.5 might be the play here because the Jets have been playing pretty well. I think Zach Wilson, I think the reason they are plus 16.5 though, Zach Wilson is without his primary targets. I think he's 6 of his wide receivers. So he's got really no one to throw the ball to. But they played last week against the Bucs. He'll be without Braxton Berrios, which is unfortunate, but still, it may be just the way I'm thinking right now and thinking how well the Jets have played in past weeks, but I know Buffalo has a lot to play for, but they don't need to win this game by 20 points. I think plus 16.5 is the play in this game. Carolina is currently +8 at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, there is a seeding scenario with Tampa Bay, so they need to win that game. I would imagine they do win that game. -8. I don't know. It's an interesting number there. I'm not really looking to bet on that one. And then we got one more game that we have this week. Seattle at Arizona. Arizona's favored by 5.5. As I mentioned before, Arizona needs to win this game and needs a Ram loss to get that NFC West title and possibly even clinch the 2 seed. So that is a big factor there. The over-under in that game is 48. It's going to be a high-scoring game, I think, for sure. So keep an eye on that, and maybe if it drops down to when people start getting on and start looking at the bets tomorrow, maybe it'll drop down to like 46.5 or something like that. Maybe you'll get a 1.5. And I think about it there. The 5.5, I probably lean Arizona, just because the Seahawks are not that great this year, and Arizona has a lot more to play for. That's it with NFL. That's all I got for NFL. We are going to talk about a couple more things. We are been on for a while now. I do want to touch on a couple things here and there that are happening this weekend, that have happened over the past week, that are in other areas. First, we will start with football. We have to talk about the college football playoff. The national championship game is Monday, Alabama, Georgia, 8 p.m. Eastern time. The playoff matchup that everybody wanted, everybody's going to get. Alabama versus Georgia, round 2. As everybody knows, Alabama beat Georgia pretty bad in the SEC championship game, made them look just not good at all. But Georgia came back and just dominated a tough Michigan defense, dominated their offense, dominated on the defensive side of the ball, which we knew that they could do. So Georgia looks better. They look better. And, we get round 2 here, and we'll get a chance to see if Georgia can knock off Alabama and finally get that national championship, or if Alabama is going to, just continue its success. They did struggle against Cincy in some facets of the game, but let's be honest here. Let's be honest with ourselves. Cincy never really looked like they had a chance to win that game. Alabama, just took control. It was very professional, very, business-like performance from Alabama. Took care of business. My personal opinion, I'm going to go with Alabama. It feels like, they just dominated them in the SEC championship game. And, I said this after the SEC championship game. Feels like they were preparing for Georgia the entire season. And it feels like the last month they've been preparing for Georgia as well. I mean, listen, how much do they really have to put into Cincinnati? I know Cincinnati's gave them a fight, and they did keep it close for a little bit. And Cincinnati's a good program. But, the big one was always going to be Georgia. I think Alabama takes care of business again. The spread on that game is, and I can't believe I didn't check this. The spread on that game at this current moment is NCAA football. It's -2.5 to Georgia, actually. So I'm going with Alabama. So, I'm leaning Alabama +2.5. I mean, how many times is Alabama not favored in a game? And yes, as we mentioned before, Miles Tech getting some bets in tonight. We love that. The over-under in this game is 52.5, which is a crazy over-under. I mean, both these defenses are pretty good. I mean, Alabama's defense isn't as good, but Georgia's offense isn't, otherworldly. We've seen Alabama take care of Georgia's offense. So, I think I would probably lean, if you're looking for a not fun way to do this, lean under 52.5 and plus 2.5 for Alabama. There's going to be tons of parlays. I will give you my the last time Alabama and Georgia played. I will give you my tough bet from last time these two teams played. Last time these two teams played, if you guys remember correctly, Jalen Hurts started the game and then was replaced by Tua Tagovailoa, who ended up winning the game against Georgia. That was against Georgia. I bet that Jalen Hurts would have, I think, over 11.5 completions or something like that. And somehow, he had 2 in the first half and then got pulled at halftime. So a really tough one for me there. But those player props are always fun to play on these big games. They come up with the craziest things, over under reception, not over under receptions, but like over under, field goals in a game, or, some crazy things, or, just things you wouldn't get on a regular bet. And now that we are live here in New York, I will take a look at some of those as well. And I would recommend you guys doing that too. Few other things that we got going on, or that have been going on in the world of sports. Grab bag of news, really. I want to talk about this. Probably nobody else knows this. I'm a Canadiens fan, so this is why I'll mention it. Canadiens currently have 24 players dealing with COVID right now, currently in protocol. So thankfully, they don't have to play a game for like 3 weeks. But that wasn't a scheduling thing, or they just are not allowed to cross the border. The NHL has canceled all cross-border games. The NHL has currently not said anything about the Canadiens' situation, as far as I know, but really weird that they're making them play these games. They're down 24 players. They're putting an AHL level squad out there. The last time they played, they had 5 NHLers on the team, with the barely making, I think they managed 16 total skaters. I think they had 11 forwards and 5 defensemen. And now I think with an injury and these other 2 players testing positive, they're down even more. They couldn't even field the full 20 skaters that you're supposed to be able to field. So I don't know what's going on over there. NHL's got to figure that out, but the Canadiens don't play for a couple weeks, so hopefully they'll be able to figure that situation out. There is a couple baseball things that we want to talk about. Now, listen, baseball isn't happening right now, but a couple stories that came out this past week. Ken Rosenthal no longer with MLB Network after comments made about Manfred. The only thing I want to mention about this really is, I don't know about exactly what the comments were, but Ken Rosenthal is a fantastic reporter. And his job is to tell the truth, whether he works for MLB Network or his job is to, say how people feel, and his job is to report. And if they ask people, the other thing is our world is now very opinion based as well. So, sometimes he gets asked his opinion, and his opinion on Manfred is just as valuable as anybody else's. Just because he works for MLB Network shouldn't be a thing. This is just another one of Rob Manfred's poor decisions, the MLB's poor decisions over the course of this, past year, where they've just been an absolute mess. Just another thing, Ken Rosenthal, fantastic reporter. It's a shame that he was kind of the guy who took the fall here, but he was right for calling out Manfred. Manfred has been an awful commissioner for the MLB, and it needs to things like this shouldn't be happening, just because players make comments reporters make comments, or people make comments, listen, Manfred deserves very much to be criticized. And I think Ken Rosenthal was right in criticizing him. And I don't think he should have been fired, or let go, but whatever be the case, it's a decision that's in the past now, and I can't do anything about it. The other MLB news, ESPN is planning on doing a Manning cast that is for baseball with A-Rod and Michael Kay. Listen, I'm a Yankees guy. Michael Kay, I know we're big Michael Kay people. We're big Michael Kay people on downtime and whatnot. I'm a Yankees guy. Love A-Rod. Michael Kay's been he's been calling the Yankees for forever. I just don't see how this works as well as the Manning cast. With Eli and Peyton, they're like renowned for being funny and personable people, and people who are just like fun to have on, talk with and bring people on. Like, I know A-Rod's had his fun, and Michael Kay is a great broadcaster, and has a great reputation, but I just don't see it working as well. You need 2 funny guys. You need guys who are going to be able to, keep it interesting throughout the whole game. And I just don't see A-Rod and Michael Kay doing that together. I I feel like it's just not the right combo, not the right people that should be on this type of cast. But I guess we'll find out. We'll find out when ESPN does the. Yeah.
Trash.
What trash?
Michael K and A-Rod.
Yeah, I know, dude. It's awful. I don't know
about it. It's absolute. You want to talk about being Michael K always says fraudulent. He's fraudulent for being on a show with A-Rod after we know. I guarantee he hates him. Because remember, they had that beef forever.
Yeah, I don't when I look at the Mannings, I look at people who I enjoy listening. Like they're people who are funny. Like they're funny people. Like we know that for a fact. Like they're known for being funny. Like A-Rod and Michael K don't strike me as a funny, personable, I'm sitting on my couch talking to you type of group of people, you know? Like they don't strike me as that. And I feel like the reason the Manning cast worked was because of the people who were the two, not because of the guests, but because of the two people who were on the Manning cast, Eli and Peyton. So I hate the idea of having it, but you know, it's whatever. Hey, there you are. He's back. He's wearing, look at his downtime fleece. I love it.
We have friends and fans here.
Oh, do we? Who are our friends and fans?
Well, we have Ashley here, who's Renee's friend, and Anna and Renee.
Hi, Ashley, Anna, and Renee. How are you guys doing?
You've met, I know, obviously, Anna and Renee, but I don't know if you've met Ashley. You haven't met Geno? Oh, never mind. Anna said no.
Okay, then there you go. I mean, I'm not up there often, so you know.
I know he's not here often. I know
it's probably unlikely.
He's a married man, ladies. Now you know.
I got business to
married life.
But yeah, no, that's great that we have fans though. We're really picking it up, huh?
I know. Well, they're more family, to be honest.
Yeah,
I just
people in the studio is always fun. It's always fun. So that's it, Mike. You got anything else you want to talk about? Anything else that we didn't bring up? Is there any celebrity boxing matches that I have not even remotely thought about?
You and Barnes all the time. It's so funny. You always ask me that. No. But I was actually going to ask your opinion, dude. Do you like Dana White? First of all, that's my first question. Like as an owner of the league overall, like, you know, I'll tell you Barnes' take. He likes him, but he thinks like the lower guys should get paid more.
Yeah, I would agree. I like him. I think he's a little bit too much in your face,
right?
But I guess you kind of have to be in that industry, with the UFC and whatnot. Like I think I definitely think you should get paid more, or players should get paid more.
It's like the minimum, you know, the guys in the league for the NBA that get $450, for example, like, you know, bare minimum.
Yeah,
but
hey, like I don't think it's, and especially these guys are literally getting beat up for like whatever they're making, which isn't a lot of money. So
yeah,
and they're training all year round, and it's like. You know,
and like hospital bills, blah, 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 whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying that. I was just curious your input on him. But did you see him call out Jake Paul on the, you know, you could drug test me randomly for 10 years for cocaine if I could drug test you for the next 2 years randomly for steroids?
I did see that. I don't.
Thoughts? What are your thoughts?
Do you think? I don't think Jake Paul's taking steroids. Do you think Jake Paul's taking steroids?
I mean, he probably is taking some sort of substance.
Yeah, I guess that's probably true. I don't know. I mean, I feel like, I guess when I associate people with steroids, I associate them with like gaining a lot of weight and looking like absolutely massive. And he doesn't like, Jake Paul doesn't strike me as a dude who's like ridiculous, but I've never really seen him. Like, I don't really watch the fight, so I don't really know.
Yeah, no, I mean, he obviously doesn't look like he used to. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, that's it. That's my thoughts. I wanted to know what you thought on that.
No, yeah, I don't think Jake Paul is wrong, it was Jake who
said White said that to.
No, I know, but Jake Paul said the thing about
him on cocaine.
No, the thing about the fighters, right?
No, Barnes said that.
Oh no, I know, but I think Jake Paul or Logan Paul, one of them had said something about that earlier in the week too. So I think that the one of them brought up, which I think is what started this whole feud between the two of them, which will probably end up in Jake Paul fighting in the UFC at some point soon. So
and just dying
eventually. Like, dude, I don't understand. But I mean, hey, I don't know like whether I like believe he's like a good fighter or not. Like, I honestly do not know.
You'll see when he's not.
I saw a funny tweet from, I forget who it was, but somebody tweeted after the AB situation, like, you know, I give it 6 months. I think it was Brooks
Koepka to fight.
I give it 6 months for AB to fight one of the Paul brothers.
Wow.
Which I could totally see that happening. So, but yeah, that's it.
Cool, dude.
Right.
Good show. Great job.
Look at that. We kept it about an hour. I'm very proud of us.
No, beautiful. Beautiful. Thanks, everybody. Like, comment, subscribe, merch on our website. We will see you.
What's the website? Tell them what the website is so they know.
www.downtimetv.com. That's funny. All right, dude.
There you go.
All right, guys, and we'll see you next Saturday.
Peace.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys